Hello, this is Level with me. Long time no see. Just been busy. The place where I work, in my game center, we recently moved buildings, and also my laptop was just really messed up this past summer, so I actually haven't gotten much work done over the past summer. But also wasn't able to stream, more importantly. But now that the semester's starting, finally everything's starting to line up again, and I'm also starting to stream again and get more into the rhythm of things again. So, welcome back, you, but also welcome back, me, I guess. And for today, I just thought I would start with something I know pretty well, which is some kind of source engine game, right? Some kind of Half-Life 2 source engine thing. So thought I would go ahead and dive into episode 1 of Half-Life 2 and play through it and talk about it. So let's get into it. I'm gonna go ahead and start on the first chapter, I think. By the way, I don't know when I'm gonna be doing my normal streams. Probably not Fridays usually, but we'll see. Probably more like Wednesdays, actually. But I just had some free time
Tell
right
me,
now,
Dr.
so
Freeman, if you can.
thought I'd do it.
You have destroyed so much. What is it exactly that you have created? Can you name even one thing?
So, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, I think, occupies an interesting place in the Half-Life 2 saga or whatever. Just because Half-Life 2, original vanilla, people liked it. Half-Life 2 Episode 2, people liked it more. Half-Life 2 Episode 1, it's like the middle child. Very sad. It's kind of no one's favorite, unfortunately. Which is sad, because I think Episode 1 is probably the most resourceful of any of the Half-Life 2 things, where it reuses a lot of stuff pretty cleverly, and then just offers slight variations on things. Which is also why people kind of don't like it, because gamers always want you to remake all the content for everything. God forbid you reuse anything, right? So, I like it. I admire it as a developer about how they reused stuff, or just recolored the Vortigons like that. I like how they like reuse existing settings and build on top of it. But it can also feel like a mod in that sense, which makes the gamers upset. Yes, R.I.P. the saga, indeed. Okay, so let's kind of refresh what we were doing.
Oh my god!
Oh.
Gordon! I was so worried. Hey, the gravity gun. Give it to him, dog.
Oh, guess I'll pick that up. Okay.
There, Gordon. Dog's happy to see you. I can tell.
So,
okay, dog.
if you'll recall, at the end of Half-Life 2, we got to the top of the big Citadel tower, and then it blew up, and then time froze for some reason, and now we're back here. Looks like we've been...
how we got out of there.
Looks like we've fallen.
The last thing I remember is rain falling, huge explosion, and then I heard vortigaunts.
There's the
Next thing I knew,
exposition
Dog was
summing
taking
it
me out
up
of the
for
rubble.
us.
Oh, it's all so strange.
So, in theory, we have fallen down from the top of that giant glowing thing.
It's my dad. We've been trying to reach him for hours.
Kind of a weird choice to have all this stuff.
Willie hears that we found you.
Pacing wise, I don't know if I like how that went down. Where all this stuff is just happening suddenly, and I wasn't really ready to look at it or consume it. I don't know. Wait, how do I follow her? What? Oh, I have to do the tutorial thing. So, have to remember how to use the gravity gun again. And...
Dad, are you there?
Alex, come in.
Hold on a sec, there's so much interference.
some med kits for
Hey, Doc,
us.
give me a hand with this.
So even if you don't really care about the story, you're still going to gravitate to this point to collect those health
Little to
kits,
the
I
right.
guess.
There we go. Hold it there. We got it. Dad,
Alex, where are you? Oh, please, God, tell me you're out of the
So there's a bunch of story
Well, not
happening.
quite yet.
If I recall
Listen, Dad, we
correctly,
found
the episodic commentary for this section was pretty interesting, where the designer was talking about how they put this bike here. And this bike here, there's no reason for this bike to be here, other than for the player to play with it and do this. And I don't, that's a weird design thing to do, right? It's like, why not just make this more interesting? Why concede that some players will be bored by this and give them like a little toy to play with? I mean, it is kind of fun though. Oh no, I broke my toy. Oh well. And of course we are blocked by this hard gate. Here there's this fallen airship, so we can't proceed anyway.
you mean going in?
Into the core, yes. But it's far too dangerous to consider. The chamber will be bathed in radiation.
Well, you do have the hazard suit. If we found a way into the Citadel, it's possible we could...
Alex, no.
I don't know if this
Dad.
is aged
Izzy, talk some
well.
sense into her.
Sorry, Eli, but I don't see any other way. It would help
It just
us
feels really
evacuate
patronizing to me now. I think
this, Dad.
back in, I think this came out in 2005, I believe. I think maybe back in,
Promise me that you won't take
or
a
maybe,
single
no, maybe it was
unnecessary
later,
risk.
2006.
I promise.
Well, if someone in the chat wants to look
love
it up,
you.
feel free to correct
I
me.
love you too, baby.
But
I'll be praying for you.
you know, you have to remember back
I'll
in
see you
Half-Life
soon.
2 coming out in 2004, it feels really bold and revolutionary to have pretty well animated characters talking to you and doing all
Let's see if
this
we can
stuff.
find a way into the Citadel from somewhere along the rim.
But now, when we have a character like
Doc,
talking
a
to
little
us,
help,
telling
please?
us what to do, now I would argue it feels very, very different. Where it's like, why is she talking so slow? Why is she
Thanks.
spelling everything out so much? Why isn't the animation
Okay,
more like
back up
faster
meet
and
us
more
on the far
fluid
side
and
of this
stuff?
ridge. Whoa. What a drop. After you, Gordon. Careful.
Her facial expression there, looks like she was being sarcastic the whole time. Okay, so let's keep going down. Wait, before we continue though, actually. So if you follow my stream, you know that I like using cheats. And I especially like using cheats to... Oops. I especially like using cheats to no-clip and walk around and let you... and that kind of navigate how the level is constructed. So I want you to think about how contemporary players back then would have been playing and thinking about this, but I also want you to analyze this from a more designer developer perspective to try to think about how they would have constructed this level and thought about how it was made. So, for example here, this is actually really weird, the lighting here. First of all, where's this light source coming from? It doesn't really make sense where the light is coming from. Did there used to be a spotlight here? Part of the reason why the lighting feels really strange is because the HDR stuff. Actually, wasn't episode 1 made with HDR? I don't remember. But here you can see it's supposed to be sunlight, except it's shining on this scene from a totally different angle from the other sunlight, which makes no sense. It's also a very harsh light, with a very high constant, like a floodlight, and the light isn't really popping out anywhere. So you can imagine this does a few special things. First of all, it makes us not want to hang out and linger here. There's all this dark area here. We don't want to... It's not comfortable, right? To hang out in this bright, glary light right here. And it's not fun to hang out in this dimly lit thing either. Also, this isn't like a nice cozy fireplace. It's actually not giving off much light, although maybe it should be like that. And it's just, if you take a step back and think about it, the lighting doesn't make sense. But one constant that I come to over and over in my in this whole stream series is that video game lighting rarely ever makes sense like this, and there's examples like this going back through all the years. In fact, if you check out the BioShock streams where we found many examples of just light floating around here. Here is obviously, there's a spotlight that's like pointed right here, and the spotlight was obviously arranged more to give you an optimal angle when we're looking up from the rubble, looking up at the robot and looking up at Alex pulling us out of there. It's obviously more to light them really nicely than to give any sense of like comfiness or sense of place to this little room, which we aren't even supposed to hang out in anyway. And then, oh, here we can see Dog. That's where Dog goes apparently after you're done talking to him. That's good. So let's move up to analyze this area. So you can see this area is more softly and evenly lit. It's more pleasant to just hang out here because we can see more of what's going on. It doesn't feel so bad to hang out in, I think. But still, just the shadows here still feel kind of weird and inconsistent. There's another point light floating in front of this screen to help highlight all the stuff going on. There was also probably another point light so that you could see Alex is being show off the Fong shader stuff, that the rim light shader stuff they pioneered in episode 1. What else? Oh, one fun thing we always do. So when we were looking at the screen, you might remember seeing some characters. The way all the camera views in Half-Life 2 and Source Engine games generally work is they're being shot on another camera in a hidden room somewhere. Let's try to find that hidden room. Where would that hidden room be? Is it... No, that's a car. Oh god, does anyone see a secret little room hidden anywhere? It's just like a secret little hidden camera room. No, there's the skybox. There's the intro rooms where we were looking into, or that's where we'll be going later. That's the skybox we're in. Let's see. No, that's dark. Oh, here? Oh, here is the screen where Dr. Breen was standing there looking at us. So there's the little film studio for that. The little backdrop. It's almost like he's a streamer or something. Dr. Breen, the original Twitch streamer. These were all various shots and locations used in the intro, in the very beginning intro cinematic, which we saw earlier. Yes, Megaspell in the chat says, don't forget to like, comment, and obey. It's very, very real. Interesting skybox here. If I remember correctly, the skybox textures for the episodes are actually very different from how they did the Half-Life 2 skybox textures. It's kind of more, ooh. And then there's this dynamic higher res scrolling cloud layer. They don't usually do that. And very intentional stars being drawn in the sky. Huh. Wonder what that's about. Anyway, let's fly back to where we were. Oh, here's the actual skybox. So you can see how that's mirroring the same thing. Can I find my way back? I think I'm supposed to be over here. Wait, what's this? Oh, and then this is the film studio. Oh my god, they don't have legs. Oh, but they're real NPCs though. Here you can see he like looked over to look at me. He like noticed me. Wait, noticed me. Okay, there. So they're actually real NPCs with a little bit of AI, which is interesting. They're not like Breen, who was really frozen in place. But I guess to save polygons, they don't have the rest of their hips or torsos or legs? I don't know. Interesting. Anyway, let's go back to where we were. Oh, oops. Chinook web over here. Okay. Oh, here she is still waiting for me. Super patient, that's good. Wait, where am I supposed to go? Oh, I'm supposed to go this way. So notice the lighting here is pretty important. I tried to, oh wait, oh she jumped down here. I looked down here, but it was so dark and shadowy that if it's dark and shadowy in a AAA game, I just assume I'm not meant to look there anyway, so might as well look over here instead. And sure enough, they light the way. There's some wreckage here. I think the wreckage is to sell the idea that everything is falling apart, but the wreckage also, most importantly, has these emissive textures on it, and those help breadcrumb your path. So even though it's dark right here, we can still see there's something there. In this case, it's this random like bullshit component. I don't know what that is. It doesn't even matter. Make some little light platforming. Remind you to use the gravity gun, and also use the flashlight in Half-Life 2 as well. And now we end up in this open area.
Why is Dog taking so long? Dog! Dog!
Oh, what's she looking at?
Look out! Oh my god, Dog!
What?
Dog, are you alright? Oh my god. You scared the hell out of me. Now stay with us.
I didn't really believe that the robot was in danger, though. It's kind of strange.
I cannot believe they're trying to get back in that place.
Also, it just seems really brightly lit here.
Be easy.
Yeah, all the lighting just
Well,
feels
Doc,
really
what do
strange.
you think?
Feels like they
Any
compiled
ideas?
it wrong or something. I don't know. What's she looking at? Oh.
All right, Dog. That's not too helpful.
Oh, right. Okay, so we need to find
There has to be a way to get across.
some way to get across.
What about... Dog?
Oh.
Dog, where are you going? Was it something I said? Huh? Dog, what are you... I think Dog needs a few bolts tightened. Look out!
What? Oh. Oops. So, even if you're standing in the way,
That was a little
it just kind of
close.
pushes you out of the way
What's
anyway.
gotten into you, huh? How exactly is this supposed to help us? What? Wait a minute. Oh no. You're not serious.
Oh, that's cute. How it's sticking its head through the car door. That was cute. That aged well.
Well, Gordon, unless you have a better suggestion, he is a robot. He's done the math.
Oh, it's cool that she's like,
Did do the math.
Uh-huh.
I want you to get
So-
out of here as fast
so
as
there's
you
jokes in this
Go
game,
find out.
right?
can. We'll catch
Imagine
you. Don't
playing this back in 2006 and thinking, wait, there's like wit and jokes in like this AAA video game. What is going
No,
on?
Don't worry about me. I'll see you soon.
Video games aren't just like comic
Get the passenger
books.
side, Gordon.
Of course, later we see comic book movies emulating this jokey joke formula, right? Okay, before we get in the car, let's look around and think
Hurry
about
up,
what's going
or
on.
I'd lose my nerve.
So, first of all, we entered from here and walked into here. The fire here, you see Valve use this a lot, where fire,
Okay, Gordon, get in.
big glowing fire things. First of all, the movement of the fire particles will draw your eye and you'll kind of gravitate towards it. It also gives off light, which also maybe helps guide the player towards it. It's like a signal fire, basically. Does it make sense for this random concrete to be on fire perpetually? I don't know. Who cares? It's a video game. So that's why that's there. One other reason why you might want fire here, especially with this very detailed normal map here, is to show off your normal map technology. Look at how detailed this cliff face is. And then you get this nice blue-orange showcase here that's showing off. I mean, it doesn't look that good now, but imagine back in 2006.
Hurry up, or I'd lose my nerve.
Oh, she's getting impatient with me. Oh, that kind of brings us to one design theme of this whole episode is that Valve did a bunch of focus testing and they
Get to the
found
passenger
out
side, Gordon.
people really liked playing with Alex, this NPC, and having her shoot stuff, and people really liked the robot, dog. So Valve decided, okay, let's make an episode with more of this
Gordon, get in.
and more of this other thing. Which explains why they made Portal 2, which is basically just Portal again. Because they wanted to make money. They asked people what they wanted, and people said they wanted a faster horse. So that's what happened.
Okay, dog, let's do it. Before I change my...
Oh, look at the train. Trains are
Okay.
cool.
Careful, hold on.
In the chat, Tugalaw mentions that this whole sequence must have been a nightmare to animate. So many separate objects interacting with each
Good
other.
throw, dog.
And I agree with that.
Now
It's
go, boy,
hard
go
to get
on.
objects
You'll
to
be fine. Just
coordinate. Uh-oh.
What now? Whoa.
Especially to have people riding vehicles like this. Uh-oh. Roller coaster.
Phew. All right, let's get off before the next ride starts.
She was pretty blasé about it. I would have been screaming a lot more. Oh, and then the car falls down. How dangerous and precarious. Reminds me of that Simpsons episode, you know, Mr. Plow, and then Homer has to, like, do the radio knob. Anyway, what were we doing? Wait, what's this shadow? What? There's like an invisible cube here. I feel like, oh my god, what the heck? So, I feel like this is clearly a weird artifact of Valve's engine updates. As you may recall, Valve built all the Half-Life 2s on shared engine technology, and then they kept updating that core engine technology. In theory, that sounds really, really cool, that you can backport new updates for older games pretty easily and seamlessly. The bad news is that you might have engine updates that end up causing glitches or problems. You're also backporting bugs into your previous games. Now, imagine you're working at a studio. Do you want to work on a new, exciting, fun thing? Or do you want to play through Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and try to look for all these bugs? This is pretty clearly some kind of strange victim of the dynamic shadows that they added after Episode 2. So when they added dynamic brush shadows to Episode 2, they gave you the ability to make any object cast shadows. But when they were building Episode 1, they didn't have that ability. But then they just recompile all the maps. It uses the default setting for the block, and then the block uses the default setting of casting shadows. Therefore, we have this invisible cube that was probably used to coordinate stuff, where it was probably used to coordinate that scripted sequence when the car crashed into here, and like where Alex should run to or whatever. So that's why we have this fake invisible shadow. That seems really obvious in hindsight. It's a dark area. Of course the player's going to turn on their flashlight. Of course the player's going to be looking and walking towards Alex and notice this. Seems like something that you can easily catch, but why would you when you can work on something new and fun with new technology? Anyway, enough nitpicking, sorry. Let's look around this level. So, first of all, I like the big shift in lighting. I like how before it was like very bluish lighting, very bleached out kind of lighting. And once we're in here, it's much darker, and we're relying on so much more of this fire to light our way. So I like how it goes from mainly bright to mainly dark, and it sells that transition pretty well, I think. What else are we supposed to do? I feel like we're supposed to go this way.
It's really coming apart.
Because Alex is standing here and trying to lead me that way. But what if I went this way instead? Can I fall into this beam, or do I just die? Oh. I guess that's not a good beam. I guess that's not one of those fun teleporting tractor beams. I guess that's like a death beam. Oh well. There we go. But how was I supposed to know that? I mean, you look at that beam, does that look dangerous? No, that looks like a nice, friendly, neighborhood beam. That's like a beam you take home to see your parents, you know? That's like a beam that will never leave your side. How was I supposed to know that beam would kill me? Keep walking forward here. Oh, that thing stopped sparking. Interesting. Ooh, okay. This is one of my favorite props in all of Half-Life 2. So this Combine prop is just this weird, glowy box machine with, a camera on top. What is it? Who even knows what this is? This could be a generator. This could be, a security camera. This could be a computer system thing. It's just so vague, but still cool looking with really nice shapes and really nice crunchy little details. Whoever modeled this thing is it's a genius. I love this. And then it also has these little gaps between the panels, so it's still continuing the whole Combine motif of having all these little separated, like, articulated joints and things, but in like a small micro-sized thing, and it has these weird curvy little feet. So that's like this weird implied mounting, but they're also like claws. So it's like this weird like penguin. It's like a weird robot penguin bird thing. I think putting 3 here is a weird choice though, honestly. I think I'm gonna put 1 here. When you put 3 here, it's just a little bit too much. I will put like 1 here and then maybe like a computer console here to be really glowy to draw the player's eye. Oh, she's waiting for us. Oops. So we keep following these lights. Yeah, I think this is kind of the same victim as the whole. So they also recompiled and rebaked all the lighting for vanilla Half-Life 2 as well, using all the new HDR and stuff. And it still has the same problem where lights just don't bloom properly. Here, the point light or whatever is just way too much like hotspot glowiness near this, when this is clearly intended to be more like a spotlight kind of thing. But again, to correct this, someone would need to spend time to go through every map and manually tune all the values and then recompile, test the new values. No one's gonna do that. So it's kind of ugly and it's kind of a shame, but you kind of can't blame developers for not doing this work because it's not worth their time, honestly.
This is unbelievable.
I'm playing episode 1 because I'm a weirdo, but pretty much no one plays episode 1 right now, right?
Oh, what a drop.
We gotta find a way down to
Dawn, aka Unk, in the chat, hey, mentions that's what interns are for. If only Valve took interns. If only Valve didn't just hire senior faculty all the time. Or senior faculty, I mean senior developers. They would never hire a professor, God forbid. And Roman Lux in the chat also asks, is it possible to play the older version without all this weird malfunctioning, poorly calibrated light? Is that giving off yellow light even though it's a blue light fixture? What is even going on here? And the answer is, I don't think so. I don't think it would be possible because it would be linked to Steam. So you could technically find an old like CD-ROM, DVD-ROM version of episode 1, but the instant you have to decrypt all the files through Steam, it would instantly update and overwrite everything. So as far as I know, there's no real way to do this other than to have a really old version already decrypted on your computer and then to like replace those files. Maybe that's somewhere. Okay, let's come back here. What am I supposed to do here? Oh, I'm supposed to jump down here. Okay, so that's why this light is here. So our first instinct is to walk over here because Alex was here, and there's also the railing also ends, which makes me think I'm supposed to jump down there. And we're clearly supposed to look down here, but because you can see the level designer went to the trouble of building out this stuff and also put this little nice sparkly thing for us to look at. So we were clearly supposed to look at this view, but once we look down, we know, oh, we shouldn't jump down there to our deaths. That would be bad. One shout out here, oh, that looks bad. But right here, this view looks really, really nice. You have a nice mix of all these different silhouettes layering on top of each other. It looks good, actually. Still kind of holds up. Shader-wise, if you rebuilt this in like Unreal 4 or something, you'd want everything really glowy and reflective everywhere. So texture resolution wise, it's still, and like shader wise, it probably doesn't hold up as much, but like shape wise, geometry wise, composition wise, I think a lot of this work still holds up pretty well. Okay, let's jump. It's really weird that her back is so orange compared to where the orange light would be. Okay, anyway, let's jump down here. In the chat, Tugala mentions the soundscape is also really good too. Yeah, I agree. Sound design still holds up. Old games sound design still holds up really well. What is this? There's this like weird crack here. I don't know what that's about. Oh well. Let's keep going.
Stalkers.
Oh, she followed me. That's
Well, they shouldn't bother us if we leave them alone.
good.
I'll just disable this field and... Damn, I can't get this down.
I like the foreshadowing.
It's that stalker. He's holding it from the other side. We don't have time to look for another way around. How are we gonna get through here?
Huh.
Roller mines. They could help us get out of here. Can you find where those roller mines are going? I've got an idea how to use one here.
That's a
Bring
little
me a roller
bit...
mine, Gordon.
Okay, so
Grab one of those roller mines, Gordon.
one critique I would have of this sequence that we just watched is that when she tries to deactivate this, and then it deactivates for a little bit, and then comes back online, and then it's because this stalker enemy was here reactivating the force
See if
field.
you can find a roller mine, Gordon.
The only way we're able to make that connection, that as long as there's a stalker at a computer console, we can't go through the force field. The only way we were able to make that connection was basically when she said something. And that's just one sound cue to connect those things. And that's not considered good contemporary. She's really keen on me getting that roller mine. That's not considered good game design practice. It's considered better practice. It's considered better practice for you to have at least 2 or 3 more forms of feedback, right? So maybe a more gamey game would have had like a colored energy pipe going back here, and then it would have been like a blue fluid coming through here, and then we would have seen a red fluid go in and like counteract the blue fluid or something like that. Or we would have seen just a lot more stuff going on than her just saying, oh, that guy did it. That guy. He's not with us. Get him, right? That's not enough feedback. You should usually have like 2 or 3 more things. I really like... This is another one of my favorite props in the Combine whole prop set. Because it evokes the Combine cameras and Combine turrets, or turret, and turrets is a different thing. Turret, and it also evokes just the other shapes as well. But it's just like has such a distinctive shape, and it's crunchy. And again, is this like a is this a generator? Is this a security camera? Who even knows what that is, right? But still, it could be anything. It's so versatile.
See if you can find a roller mine, Gordon.
Oh God. Okay. God. So, in video games, what she was just doing right now, the technical term is literally called the nag. And it's weird when you have a female gendered character made to like nag you, so to speak, and it kind of enforces weird sexist tropes, I think, about how women in games are supposed to like behave or something. It's kind of usually I think Valve's line with this is that when they study players and then have players take surveys afterwards, players will report that why was Alex so naggy, blah 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 blah. But part of that is also on the designer. The designer made her naggy. The designer projected a vision of how women behave, or how women are supposed to be helpful but always get out of the way, but also do all these other things. She's supposed to be the perfect like ally for you, right? The perfect sidekick. And maybe if they let Alex have more autonomy, maybe if they had Alex function less of like a weird mission objectives menu or indicator, and have her do more like interesting stuff or something, or a more bold approach would have been for Alex to just get kind of impatient with you and maybe just solve the puzzle without you or something. That would have been really cool. My point is, there's just a bunch of different other ways that you can solve the so-called nagging problem through game design. And it feels to me like a cop-out to put that all on Alex as a character. Feels kind of weird to me. Anyway, let's keep going. So right here we see this weird glowy pipe thing. One thing I like about this is that these pipes actually slow down right here to give you like a better look of what's going on. So they fall super fast and then they like slow down here. It's almost like they fall through, they're like a physics object. They fall through this pipe, they enter like a low gravity section, or they enter like a push volume that's pushing them up slightly, and then they go fast again. So that's a really nice effect. I like that. Very subtle, but very important, so that you'll notice these pipes, these roller mines falling down. Otherwise, they would just fall through real fast. And that's actually a button prop, but here it's being framed as like a camera that's like checking these roller mines for like quality control or something. Oh, and here's our good friend. Oh my god, look at this big boy. Oh my god. Oh, I love you. Oh my god. Okay. Let's keep going. Ooh, look at all the details here. I like how they detailed this ventilation duct here. Like, ooh. Yeah, there's some nice shapes here. Oh, there's like a dead body here so that you can look at the character art up close. Very glistening, very oily. Oh, and here's our good friend again. Love it. See, look at how versatile that is. Look at that. This is the real star of the show, okay? Look at that. Look at that. I like these grates above here, too. And there's these, like, bracket things going on. This is actually a separate prop that they just kit bashed in here, I think. Really nice. But it's just the effect of like overlaying and parallaxing all these different shapes. It makes it pleasing to crawl through here. Definite like natural selection kind of vibes. Natural selection being a sci-fi thing, not like a weird, not like the biological concept. Oh, I died. Oh, oops. I was talking about natural selection and I didn't notice it was a jumping puzzle. I'm sorry. Where was I supposed to jump though? It's not really clear. I guess I'm supposed to jump here. I feel like they should have put another light here. It seems inconsistent that they didn't have a light here. that the platform I was supposed to jump onto was in shadow, but oh well. And then, but then this is glass. Maybe if I saw this was glass, I would have noticed this better. But again, imagine I'm like standing here. It's not so easy to tell that there's glass there, right? I mean, yes, this moving platform is supposed to draw our eye, but it didn't make sense to me what I was supposed to do with that information, right? Okay, so there's a broken elevator here. How does that relate to me? That's too far for me to jump onto, right? Oh, wait. Well, I like this piece of garbage. This is nice. Okay. Button's broken. Oh, okay. I should look at this a little bit. So something else I like doing in my streams is I like turning on the wireframe perspective. And the wireframe perspective lets you see kind of behind the scenes about how the level was constructed. And as a general rule, when we're doing source engine games, anytime you see like a teal wireframe, again, that's like a modeled prop. That means it was made in Maya or in this case XSI Softimage back when it still existed. It was made by an artist. But anytime you see white geometry, white wireframes, that's more the basic brush primitives called CSG or BSP that the level designer built. And broadly speaking, you're supposed to use white shapes, the white wireframe shapes, to build the basic geometry of stuff, and you're supposed to leave the details up to an environment artist, the teal and turquoise wireframes you see here. So it's always interesting to me when we see things like this, where you can see this white shape thing, this white panel that the button is being housed on to like kind of give it a little bit of extra flair. And you can see it's fairly low polygon. So, but because it was fairly low polygon, fairly low resolution, the white wireframes, you can guess that the level designer improvised this probably to give the button a little bit more attention, right? So that it sticks out from the wall. Otherwise, if it was stuck just on the wall, it might seem a little bit too plain and boring. And around 2006, the late 2000s, you're seeing a big shift in how the game industry approaches a lot of its construction of 3D worlds, where it's becoming a lot more specialized, a lot less about level designers being artists and level designers just building the basic encounter design and shapes. Meanwhile, an environment artist should be art passing everything, replacing every bit of geometry, and so on. So, again, remember, episode 1 comes out in 2006, so this is where we're seeing that, like, kind of transitory moment between Half-Life 1 stuff, where everything is basically all environment art is the job of a level designer, and they're basically the same job, to the Half-Life 2 era, where environment art is starting to get separated from level design. Until now, you play like an Unreal Engine game today, and there's basically zero brushes, basically zero low poly geometry, if the developers can help it, and they try to replace everything and art pass everything now. If you want to know more about this, search for a wonderful YouTube video by Joe Wintergreen. I forget the exact title of this, but in it, a level designer named Joe Wintergreen, he talks about what's lost when we lose this kind of workflow where level designers are able to actively model and shape the world and rely too much on environment artists to shape the world. If anyone's able to, oh my god, if anyone's able to find that in the YouTube, feel free to post the link. Oh my god, I died. gameplay is the worst. I wish I could just talk about stuff. Where's the light here coming from? It's just a random point light floating in front. Who knows? Okay, so that moment is actually super brilliant. That's actually really great level design. That was just like a level design joke that we just experienced. Where here, notice that we have to like walk. It's weird that we kind of have to walk and straddle this kind of thing, and it's also weird that it's such a narrow little platform. So here the expectation actually was for me to stand here frozen in fear to get shocked by all those roller mines and then to get blasted off into my death, right? That seems very intentionally designed. And to me, I think that's where Half-Life 2 is funniest, and that's where the comedy of games actually comes out. It's not necessarily in a writer writing funny lines for something. I mean, that can be funny too, sure, I guess. But to me, a game is funniest when it like facilitates this actual funny like interaction where I was totally caught off guard and then I fell to my death because I was too busy talking about YouTube or something. Okay, let's try that again. This time not die. Oh my god. Okay. Oh, okay. I'll wait for this lift down. It's actually really clever that the lift is malfunctioning because maybe a lot of players would guess that they have to hold the roller mine, but maybe if they're holding the roller mine, they can't press the button at the same time. So the fact that the lift is broken is actually really convenient. It means we don't have to let go of the roller mine to press the button. In the chat, Roman Lux says the YouTube video I was talking about, where we talk about the difference between brush and modular level design. The video by Joe Wintergreen is called Hypothesizing Negative Effects of Ubiquitous Modular Mesh-Based Level Design. You can go ahead and even paste the link. I think I enabled links in my chat. I don't know. Okay, now we have the roller mine.
Dad taught me how to reset the targeting system on these things. A little extra juice in the right spot, and it's on our side. I'll hold it out where I can work on it.
Why'd she have to say Dad taught her? Can't she just know by herself?
There it is. It's a lot more unstable,
Weird.
but it should last long enough to take out.
Oh, that window's way too shiny. It's weird. Okay.
Let it go now. It'll do the rest.
Let it go now. Oh.
Okay. We can get through now. Let's go.
What's weird is that it exploded. From a game perspective, that makes sense why it would explode, so that you can't just keep reusing the same roller mine over and over and over. Like, we'll have to keep mind control converting every roller mine we see. Because this is just a tutorial encounter, right? We're just learning how this mechanic works. But fiction-wise, it seems like this game is concerned that we know the rationale for things, and it seems strange that it would suddenly not care about the rationale for why the roller mine exploded. As if Alex made the roller mine explode? Why would you do that? Okay, I guess we keep going through there on that critical path. Let's see if there's anything... Let's see if there's anything here to look at. Oh, in the chat, Wochi, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, Wochi mentions that Alex does say that the roller mines are unstable. So maybe, I guess I missed that. Sorry. I'm not super connected with the lore, I guess. Sorry. I thought it was a Half-Life nerd too. Okay, here she is. Let's look at this room for a little bit. So here we see more of these dudes looking at the consoles. It's actually, the stalker enemies are actually kind of weird. It's kind of, oh my god. I think that was scripted. I think that was scripted to happen. Oh my god. Because Half-Life 2 actually does have a trigger, it's called trigger look, where the level designer can make it so that if you are standing and looking at something for a certain amount of time, you can make stuff happen based on the player looking there. So usually it's used to make birds flock somewhere or something, but it can also be used to do that. So it seems like that was designed to make us realize that we could use the combine balls here to blow up the stalkers. I was just about to critique the character design of the stalker too. Very convenient that Half-Life 2 Episode 1 would vaporize the character just as I was about to critique the character design, but oh well, let's keep going. I guess we'll look at this room instead. So first of all, big white void, volume of light, gorgeous, beautiful, love it. Here we see some custom shapes. They look improvised by the level designer. We can double check by looking at the wireframe, and indeed, it's red geometry. I wonder why it was white before. It's red geometry, which means it's brushwork, which means a level designer built it because they thought these shapes look cool when it's placed below a ceiling light, recessed light like that, and they are right. And it also casts some nice shadows on the ground too, to help sell that like sci-fi prison feeling. Also just great, I love this. So I loved how there's this shape going like this, and then it goes like that, and it helps accentuate, again, my favorite prop in the Citadel. Right here. So it seems like it really tightens the integration here, where the composition of the basic shapes complements the prop and set dressing as well. Okay, let's keep going then. Look, another one! Oh my god. They're everywhere. Did we just come from that spot? I think we're supposed to recognize that we used to... Do you remember standing here before? And then now we are standing here. It's actually a very subtle kind of loop back. I think most players wouldn't have necessarily recognized that. And if we were to design this game to death, we would probably put in a much more obvious landmark right here. Like maybe like a broken, crashed like airship or something that's sparking, so that the player would notice that. And then when we come out on the other side of this broken, sparking wreckage, then we'd be like, oh, now we're on the other side. But maybe the level designer here has more self-esteem and confidence than me, and they wouldn't have resorted to such cheap tricks to sell the loop back into this orange room again.
Soldiers.
Oh Look at all these. Oh my god, it's on fire! It's so sad when you see people on fire in this game. It doesn't feel right. It's a little bit too horrific. Well, yeah, just the light just seems way too bright. It's just not. I feel like it should be bouncing more than this. It's just too dark. I don't know. The fire particles still indeed do look good, I agree. Oh, this is where we just were. Look at that. Oh my god, they got... Why is there blood on the wall? Did someone shoot them? Did the fire shoot them? Ooh, I do like that. It's fun to push wreckage out. And it's fun how it kind of... Oh my god.
Ooh. Well, that was random.
Well, that was random.
Not unstable. I really don't think we should hang around.
Yeah, no fire damage on the walls, but keep in mind it's 2006. Fire damage on the ground, though. But the reason there's no fire damage on the walls is that it would look bad. So, I guess that's why. And it looks like this is a one-way jump that might lead into a level transition. So before we go back in there, I mean, I'm just guessing it's going to lead into a level transition. But let's look back on where this whole structure of this whole level. So we started here, we walked out here. We had this little like arena zone a little bit where we stuck around here. And then we went on this hallway. And then this is basically just one long hallway that's snaking around to the next bit where we end up over here. So far, there's only basically been one gameplay beat, even though it feels like we've been going through all these different rooms and hallways. Which is actually good, I think. You know, not... Different things should, like, happen at different rates, right? We shouldn't just be constantly, Oh no. We shouldn't just be constantly having action happen all the time.
We gotta cross through that?
Here's a new set piece. Uh-oh.
I'll be right behind you.
The distortion kind of effect of all the like waves and energy coming through is kind of cool. I wonder how it's done. It seems like those are particles, I believe, because I can faintly see a dark red thing. I was thinking maybe it was like some kind of dynamic mesh or static mesh that they were distorting with a shader. But it looks like that's just good old-fashioned particles. One other detail here, I like that the designer here thought to put a door here, even though it's blocked off, to explain why there would be this bridge here. Because diegetically, it does not make sense why there would be a bridge here if it just leads to this weird dead-end catwalk thing, right? So, nice thinking there. In the chat, Wochi says, I remember this feeling really scary until I remembered how fast the movement speed was. Uh-oh, I wasn't fast enough. But it also might be a tutorial for me to sprint, maybe. So maybe I'll sprint now. Oh, in the chat, Trotim says it's a steam entity, it's a steam particle effect set to heat wave distortion stuff. I think it's also has another shader particle effect on top of it, I think. But you're right, there is distortion happening, maybe. Oh my, get out of my way. Okay. Now level transition. Oh shit, really? Oh, I'm usually better at calling these.
What went on in here?
What happened here? Oh my god. I like these shapes. These are some nice shapes. I like the shift in tone. Oh, did she already jump down without me? I like the shift in tone signaled by this red light with the grate. And then the shift in music, too. This is something that Half-Life 2's, or the Half-Life series in general, actually, has always done pretty well, where there's sudden, like, musical, tonal shifts and stuff. It means we're about to witness something new. Something disturbing.
I can still deliver Earth, but not without your help. The portal destination is untenable. Surely you can set the relay elsewhere. There's no way I can survive in that environment.
Thank God, it's just an old recording.
A host body? You must be joking. I can't possibly. Oh, all right. Damn it, if that's what it takes. Just hurry. He's right behind me.
Uh-oh.
What the hell?
So I believe that's the first introduction of what's called the Advisor. The Advisor is a weird, creepy Combine jelly entity. And it looks like that. And it's thought to be, that's what a real Combine alien looks like. And now we're meant to look at this. And maybe it was inside that ship that just got launched.
What's that thing?
Ooh, it looks really cool. That's a really great view. That's gorgeous. The lighting and all the shapes and silhouettes there, it's very good. In general, the whole setup of this room is fantastic. Let's turn on. I don't remember our. I don't remember how to turn off textures and just show lighting. But let's look at the geometry of this whole room. So over here you can see the parts that are in shadow are super simple, which is good. That makes sense, right? And the parts that are more detailed are lit very dramatically, which makes sense. That's how it should work. You shouldn't waste your polys and detail on something that's in shadow. Next, oh. Matte Fulbright 2, you say? Matte Fulbright 2. Oh, there we go. Okay, there. Now we can see the shape of this room much better. Thank you, Trotin. So, yeah, you can see. I feel like they built this room before they lit it. Partly because there's so much cool stuff happening with this ceiling, but then it's just barely lit. So it's like we don't even get to see so much of the stuff happening like here. Ooh, look at those normal maps. Nice normal maps. Oh man, turns off her textures too. That's intense. You can also just admire all the lighting here. A lot of the reason it feels dark is because of the albedos of the Citadel. are actually very dark blue. So to a certain extent, when you are building stuff in the Citadel style, any level designer has to be really conscious of almost overlighting things. Because again, the base albedo textures are so dark, it's going to be hard to bounce all the lighting everywhere, and it'll feel much darker than you normally would. And again, albedos are the basic textures that we use to texture characters or levels. And albedos are super important in environment art because that's usually what we use to calculate light bouncing and light map baking and all that stuff. Ooh, look at these crunchy light maps. Normal maps. Really nice. Okay. Let's switch. Should we just play in this mode? It's kind of cool. Ooh, that shape is kind of cool. It could be better. I don't like this part right here, but this part right here is nice. Yeah, we can play in this mode for a little bit. Oh, it's past an hour. I think actually maybe I might have to stop here. If you're not familiar with this stream, I usually only stream for about an hour, partly because my mouth gets tired. Also probably because I just want to go home. I'm actually streaming in my office right now, and it's summer Fridays, so I want to go home. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. We'll probably continue this stream next week, maybe on, I think Wednesday afternoon will be like a good time for me. Yeah, probably Wednesday afternoons. So maybe see you then. Thanks for hanging out, and thanks for checking out. We've basically only completed like 10 minutes of episode 1, but I just love staring at walls and shit that took an hour. So it might take a really long time to play through episode 1. We'll see. I'll get faster as we go on. Don't worry. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me, and see you next week, I guess. Peace out.